About 1 liter of fresh milk, 2 to 3 tablespoons of live yogurt that I got from a nearby supermarket, and a multi-pot. That's all I need to make this rich, creamy yogurt any day. And with this creamy yogurt, I can make this gorgeous bread, yogurt bread. That's what we're going to show you how to make today. This yogurt bread and yogurt. Let's start by making the bread. To mix this bread, we're going to use a stand mixer with a dough hook. So into this mixing bowl, we start by adding 250 grams of bread flour. This is high protein bread flour with about 13% protein. Then we add 35 grams of table sugar. Of course, you can add a little more or less sugar, that's totally adjustable to taste. Next, 5 grams of salt. And 2 grams of instant yeast, which is about 1/4 of a teaspoon. After all these ingredients are in, we add 200 grams of our homemade plain yogurt. Now, if you're wondering why yogurt, obviously we don't get the benefits of live probiotics from the yogurt, none would survive the oven, but we actually get a sizable number of benefits from the lactic acid in the yogurt. First of all, the acidity in yogurt adds and enhances the flavor of our bread. It also prevents the bread from spoiling, hence increasing the shelf life. These are already important and valuable benefits. Who wouldn't enjoy bread that lasts longer and tastes better? It's also a known fact that lactic acid can be very beneficial to your health. It can strengthen your immune system, can boost nutrient absorption, such as for vitamins and minerals. It may also act as an antioxidant, and there are more such benefits. Note that these benefits apply mainly to lactic acids produced in naturally fermented foods. Added lactic acids, like the ones found in soda, aren't as healthy. Start the stand mixer on a low speed for about 1 minute. Although this dough doesn't have a lot of fat, acid has an effect on gluten development, and that's what makes the bread softer. So taking this into account, it shouldn't be too surprising that in the end, our mixing time does come out to be similar to a bread that uses fat, like a butter-containing Asian bread. After 1 minute, we speed up the mixer, set it on a medium-high speed. You can observe that in the first few minutes, the dough tends to be pretty incohesive, kind of a chaotic mass, but at the end of the mix, about 10 to 11 minutes later, the dough is cohesive due to the gluten network it's built up, and the mixing bowl is relatively clean on the sides, as you can see here. That's the moment when you can stop the mixer, and you can test this dough using a window pane test if you're not sure if it has enough gluten development or not. It looks smooth and well mixed here, so we're pretty sure that it's good, and we'll just move on to the next step. The gluten will also develop a little more during the bulk fermentation and other rest times. Now let's take the dough out and put it into a clean bowl. It's a little bit sticky, but there's no need to line the bowl with oil. We don't want any additional fat in this bread recipe, and also there's no need for that as the dough has been well kneaded. We then cover it and let the bulk fermentation begin. At this point, you have the choice of either placing the dough in the fridge to experience slow fermentation overnight for 6 to 8 hours. This will enhance the flavor even more. Or you could simply let the dough sit on the counter for 3 to 4 hours until it has doubled in size. There's a quick way to visualize what doubling in size looks like. We can do it by simply pushing the current dough to the side like this, and this will be the dough's shape when it has doubled in size. So here we are after bulk fermentation. We're going to prepare our work surface by sprinkling it with a little bit of bread flour. Get our dough out from the bowl. It should be relatively easy as the gluten network should have been properly developed. Now let's quickly shape this dough into a boule by pulling the edges into the middle this way. And when all sides have been pulled in, we flip it over and tighten it by using the sides of our hands in this circular motion. Next, we sprinkle a bit of flour at the top and divide it into 4 equal pieces. To be more exact, you may want to use a scale. After the division, we're going to quickly shape these 4 pieces into boules. Take the first one, just like we did to the big mass before, we pull the edges to the center. It can be sticky, it's okay. You can use a scraper if it's necessary, and when done pulling in the 4 sides, flip it over and tighten the surface using our hands in this rounding motion. Do exactly the same routine for the rest of the dough. It's not necessary to shape them too perfectly or tightly at this step, as it's a pre-shaping step. Once all pieces are done pre-shaping, we're going to cover them up and let them have a bench rest for about 10 minutes. The purpose here is to let them relax so that later on we can shape them easier. After the bench rest, now is the time for the final shaping. We'll practically follow the same steps as before. First, prepare the work surface by sprinkling a bit of bread flour. Take the first piece, flip it over, slap it to degas the dough. This is to ensure we get a finer crumb structure typical of soft breads. And after that, we can start pulling all the edges to the middle, again and again until the tension is properly built up. Once we can feel the tension, flip it over, pick it up, tighten the surface further with this circular motion on our palm, and then put it down, doing a little more rounding just to tighten the surface even more. Once it's done, we're going to move it onto a baking tray with a baking silicone mat already on top of it. We're going to repeat all that for the other 3 pieces. The whole process won't take long. The steps are just the same steps over and over. Eventually, you'll be very familiar with all these motions. Once all the pieces are neatly lined up, we're going to cover it and let it go through the final proof for about 45 minutes to 1 hour. This is totally dependent on your room temperature. It takes about 45 minutes for us here with a temperature of about 30 degrees Celsius. Before the proofing time is up, you want to prepare your oven by preheating it to 180 degrees Celsius. And then when the proofing time is over, we can prepare the dough for baking by spreading a layer of honey and water as a glazing on top of the dough. This is to get a better and darker color on the bread's surface by promoting the Maillard reaction, which also enhances flavor. Then it's baking time. Top and bottom heat 180 degrees Celsius for 30 to 45 minutes depending on your oven, and then it's done. Take the yogurt bread out. At this stage, you can let them cool down, or optionally, you can add another layer of glazing to add more flavor and shine. It's totally up to you, but for all practical purposes, our bread is done. Now look at all this bread we've made. Aren't they beautiful? And they smell so great. We can also test them with some standard tests. Fantastic. It's going to eat them as soon as they cool down. Now let's make the homemade yogurt. We're going to start with milk, some regular full cream milk. We're going to heat the milk to denature the proteins, which will help the yogurt thicken up better. And the heat will also rid the milk of any competing bacteria that might be present. And we'll heat it until it reaches 80 to 85 degrees Celsius, or until it lightly simmers. Make sure to stir it every so often to prevent the milk from scorching. Then switch off the heat, and then we need it to cool down to around 40 degrees Celsius, plus or minus a few degrees. This is the right temperature to introduce our starter, just some yogurt we bought from a nearby supermarket. It contains all the beneficial lactobacillus bacteria we need. You could use any live yogurt you have on hand, or a packaged starter. So mix in the starter, and to maintain the temperature of the yogurt so the bacteria can grow at an optimum pace, we're putting the entire thing into our multi-pot on the yogurt setting. You could also pour it into a thermos to preserve the temperature. Now, the exact time it takes for the yogurt to properly thicken can vary depending on your conditions. For us, in the multi-pot, it takes about 3 hours for the yogurt to become thick and creamy, good sign of lots of probiotics. And there we have our yogurt, ready to be used or just consumed immediately. The milk has fully curdled because of the acidity, which was what gives it such a rich texture. To store the yogurt, you can put it in the fridge. Make sure to save some to start future batches of homemade yogurt. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching, and bye!